Yo, what's up, guys? ASMRblaze back with another video. I just wanted to do a mock draft really quick because I want my feelings and thoughts to be known about this draft without any other guys that are completely wrong, like you saw in the last video. Or you didn't see, you heard, because we had technical difficulties. So I wanted to give you guys an actual professional's opinion, a smart person's opinion, a person that's not blinded by stupidity. So yeah, here we go. Let me just get there. All right, start the draft. Now, for the first pick, I feel like we all know what's gonna happen. Which, or some of us don't because we think CJ Stroud's gonna get taken, but everybody knows it's gonna be Bryce Young. So that's pretty easy. The second pick. I mean, I've been contemplating a pick trade between the Texans and another team, maybe like the Colts trading up to get CJ Stroud, but I just don't think they're gonna do that. So I think they're just gonna take CJ Stroud, the second quarterback, off the board. It's pretty easy. The third pick. Now here's where I started thinking about trades. I think this is gonna be the premier trade in the draft. This is the only trade I could come up with that made sense, and it's a blockbuster trade. So I think what's gonna happen is that the Titans, all the way at 11, right over here, I think they trade up to 3. The reasoning behind this is I think that they know that Indianapolis wants a quarterback and they're going to get quarterback. But then Las Vegas and Atlanta, I feel like even if Colts take Will Levis like they were projected to, which I think is not real, I think if Anthony Richardson's on the board, they're taking him over Levis. But I think that Las Vegas and Atlanta would take Anthony Richardson. And I think Tennessee knows this. I think Tennessee realizes that they're not going to compete with Ryan Tannehill or Malik Willis. They showed no faith in Malik Willis over the last season. So I think they move up. They get the quarterback they want. And I think the trade they make happen here is that. So let's go Arizona's pick, number 3, with Tennessee. I think what they do is a first-round swap. So Arizona moves back to 11. I think they would do... So what they're going to do is... So they don't have player trades in this, but let's say this is Derrick Henry. That's Derrick Henry right there. And they'll do round 3, and then they're round 2. So Arizona's getting the 11th pick, their next year first, or Derrick Henry. That's Derrick Henry right here. So first round swap, Derrick Henry, and then Tennessee's third round next year for their first this year and a second, Arizona's second next year. So I think that's the trade that's going to happen. So that happens, and then they coach take Anthony Richardson. But remember, Tennessee no longer has Derrick Henry anymore. I think Derrick Henry's going to trade. Or if they don't want to do that, they'll just do what I did, which is a first round or maybe a second round, downgraded a little. But I think Tennessee makes a blockbuster trade there. So then Colts have to take Will Levis, like they wanted to. I think that's a smokescreen. Like I don't see that happening. Seahawks take Jalen Carter. It's kind of been obvious at this point. Now I think if Will Anderson slides all the way down, which is unexpected for the Lions, I think they take him. I know they want a quarterback. I was projecting Christian Gonzalez here, but I think if Will Anderson's still on the board, you can't pass him up. Just improve that defensive line even further. He's too good of a prospect. So I think that the Lions take Will Anderson over anyone else here, just because of the talent. Las Vegas, I think seeing that every other option went out the window for them and needing cornerback the most, they had one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. They take Christian Gonzalez over Devin Witherspoon. I think just Gonzalez is the better player. He has a size, speed, agility, all of that, and the ball skills, while Devin Witherspoon lacks that speed. But he plays with great anticipation. I think Atlanta goes Miles Murphy here. Now, these projections are off. They're not really... It's some random website's rankings, so don't believe them. But I think Miles Murphy goes here, just because he's a freak in nature. But he needs to improve some aspects of his game, especially the pass rushing. But he had 76 pressures over 2 seasons last year, so he should be good option for Atlanta. So I think Chicago takes offensive tackle Paris Johnson, just because He's a great tackle. 14 pressure. He had 449 passing block snaps and only 14 pressures. So I think he's the guy that Bears are going to take. The Eagles, cemented in stone. Basically, there's so much hype around it, and I think they're just drafting for splash player here, because I think they want to trade back, but they can't figure out a trade that's going to happen. If it does happen, look at Green Bay or Tampa Bay. But I think they take Bijan Robinson here. It's just something that happens. It's pretty much set in stone. And now the Cardinals are picking here. So I think they take Kalijah Cansey out of Pittsburgh. There he is. He's just a really good defender. I originally had Eagles taking him just because of how good he is. He is undersized, but I just feel like he's such a good prospect that the Arizona Cardinals are going to want to pick up to bolster that defensive line. Houston, I think, is going to take Jackson Smith-Njigba, kind of recreate that 2021 Jamar Chase to Joe Burrow connection with the same college. They played together a lot. They were really good at Ohio State. So I think Houston tries to recreate that, just give C.J. Stroud that weapon that he is used to having. Plus, they don't have Brandon Cooks anymore, so they need a target for C.J. Stroud. Nolan Smith is what the Green Bay Packers are taking. Kind of an obvious choice. They need an edge rusher. They need to bolster that defensive line again. A lot of defensive line talent, so it's either him or the other guy, Lucas Van Ness. But I think just Nolan Smith fits better, and him being from Georgia just bolsters his draft status. So I think New England's going to take Broderick Jones here. Just because he's a great tackle. They need a tackle. And it fits perfectly with that. I think the Jets are taking Peter Skoronski. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because I think he falls down the board because of his size, and people are worried about that. But also, the Jets' offensive line is very injury-prone. Mekhi Becton, Elijah Vera Tucker, and all the other guys on their offensive line last year got injured. So Peter Skoronski, having guard experience and tackle experience, will be able to put him anywhere on that offensive line, and it will work out. So I think the Jets ignore the size problems and take him just because he played everywhere. So that's what the Jets need, especially if the offensive line starts going down and Aaron Rodgers needs protection. Washington takes Devin Witherspoon. Again, he's slow. That's why he fell so far down the draft, but he plays with anticipation. The Fuller at Washington, I don't know if it's Kyle or Kendall. I know they're both slower guys, so he would be able to teach Devin Witherspoon how to play a good zone defensive scheme and how to thrive and play with more anticipation that he already plays with well. Just play to his strengths and not his weaknesses. Don't put him on an island, because if you get a fast wide receiver on him, it's not going to end well. I think Pittsburgh takes safety Brian Branch, just because they're a defensive-minded team. Brian Branch is like the perfect safety prospect that we've seen. He plays defensive well, and he tackles well, which fits Pittsburgh's defense perfectly. Detroit, I think Joey Porter Jr. It was a toss-up here between Joey Porter or Deonte Banks, but I think they like the more physical guys more, especially since they are known to prone to bite kneecaps. So I think Joey Porter Jr. fits that perfectly instead of Deonte Banks, which is more of a speed guy. But Joey Porter using his strength and just basically able to shove wide receivers to the ground off the press is more applicable to Detroit. Tampa Bay. I don't feel confidently about this, but I think they just take Darnell Wright just because out of need. He's a great offensive tackle. He's like so-so, great at everything. Kind of fell underneath the radar at this point. But he has great experience and can fit any scheme pretty much. So I think they take Darnell Wright there. I think Seattle takes Tyree Wilson. Again, you can see the 6 there. I think he kind of fell down the boards because kind of just didn't really show up much in his last year as much as the other guys did. But I think they take him over Lucas Van Ness just because of that, since he was known to be a better prospect. The Chargers. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go rapid fire here now, just because I was only did this for like 2 hours beforehand, so this is kind of like a quickly put together draft. So Deontay Banks for the Chargers. Baltimore, I think they go Jordan Addison. Minnesota, I guess Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback. Get that good Patrick Peterson type. Um, Jacksonville takes. I think they would take Lucas Van Ness. They need that edge rusher. I think this is when the first actually interior offensive lineman gets off the board in John Michael Smith. I know they're not known to be taking this early, but he's just a great center, and New York Giants need to bolster that offensive line even more so, especially with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones getting those huge deals. So I think they go interior offensive lineman there. Dallas takes Jack Campbell. I know that a lot of people have been saying Michael Mayer. I just don't think that's what they're going to go for there. I think if they bolster that defense and get a good linebacker, they'll be so much better, and I think that's what they're going to do. But they might take Michael Mayer. I wouldn't be shocked at that either. But then I think Buffalo Bills take Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. Cincinnati takes, and this is where Michael Mayer goes off the board. If they get Michael Mayer on that offense, it's over. It's such a good offense then. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. T. Higgins, Michael Mayer, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. It's just every option's a weapon, and they need that. New Orleans takes Osiris Torrance. Philadelphia goes defense this time and goes with Will McDonald. There he is. And then Kansas City gets Quentin Johnston, just a wide receiver that's known to jump up, and that's the first round. And I know some of these picks seem a little weird, but I feel confident about this draft, and I feel like it's going to happen more frequently. Now, some big names that I do think are going to go off the board soon. If it gets down to it, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will only take an offensive tackle and Harrison. So I watched that happen at the beginning of the second round. Houston, they already got the offense, so they need the defense at this point. So I think they eventually will take either Brian Brees, probably Brian Brissy, or Brissy, I don't know how to say that. And then, yeah, it just kind of falls down the draft as it may. Arizona needs everything, so it doesn't really matter who they take at this point, but let's say the heck of it, they go, I like Ringo. Now, Indianapolis, they can do whatever they want. They got Will Levis, so they just have to build around that. So probably Zay Flowers. If Zay Flowers is still on the board at this point, which he will be, I think he's he's not the worst wide receiver, but out of like the top guys, he is one of the lower ranked guys in my opinion. And then yeah, it just keeps going. I could do this all night. It'd probably be boring to watch that, so I'm not going to record the rest of it, but that first round right there, I'm pretty feel confident. So just to recap, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson Jr., Christian Gonzalez, Miles Murphy, Paris Johnson, Bijan Robinson, Kalijah Cansey, John Smith, Najiba, Nolan Smith, Byron Jones, Peter Skoronski, Witherspoon, Branch, Porter, Wright, Wilson, Banks, Addison, Forbes, Van Ness, Michael Schmitz, Campbell, Smith, Mayer, Torrance, McDonald, and Johnston. I think that's a good draft. All right. See you guys later.